Hey everybody, I'm in our classroom teaching what will probably be my last lesson ever taught in here. The construction is pretty much done on the new building, so we'll be packing up our stuff and all the teachers will be moving out of here in a couple of weeks. And so, of course, it's not the same anyway because I've not been able to see you guys in here for several weeks now. So it's just a weird moment, but I wanted to film this last morning work video in the classroom. So anyway, here we go. Okay, so number one says two women equally share 1/4 of a loaf of bread. How much bread did each woman get? So we've got 1/4 of a loaf of bread. Okay, I'm going to shade in one piece to represent 1/4. And two women are going to share this. So they're not sharing the entire loaf, just the 1/4. So if we split it, really I could say one lady gets this piece and then the second lady gets this piece. So the question says, how much bread did each woman get? So yes, they got half of the 1/4. So you could word it like that. They got 1/2, one piece of the 1/4, but you know that means to multiply. So if we multiplied that, we would actually get 1/8 of the whole loaf. So if I split these pieces to be about, well, the same size as these pieces, then that shows you that each person is going to get 1/8 of the entire loaf, okay? That's what the question is implying, the entire loaf. Number two for Monday says, Leslie's bill at the store was $32.50. Okay, that's how much she paid total. She spent $1.25 on each of 5 boxes of cake mix. So she spends $1.25 on each box, and there's 5 boxes of cake mix. So we're going to multiply. 5 times 5 is 25. 5 times 2 plus 2. 5 times 1 is 5, 6. I have 2 places after my decimal. So my decimal is going to go here. So she spent $6.25 just on cake or cake mix. This is a multi-step problem for sure. There's several steps to this problem. Okay, then it says she spent $3.15 on each of 4 gallons of milk. So she spent $3.15 4 times because she bought 4 gallons of milk. So we're going to multiply that. Okay, and then I have 2 places after the decimal. So she spent $12.60 just on milk. Okay, that would bother me if I didn't get that spot. Oh my goodness. Okay, she also bought 5 cartons of eggs. It does not tell us what she spent on eggs, but we know that she bought 5 cartons of eggs. So your question is, how much did each carton of eggs cost? Again, this is a multi-step problem, okay? So she spent a total of $32.50. So first, let's figure out how much she spent together on the cake and the milk. So I'm going to add the cake to the milk, and remember, I'm going to line up my decimals and line up each place. So I have a 2 in the ones place, and then a 1 in the tens place, and then I can just add a placeholder. Okay, so I add and then bring the decimal straight down. So she has so far on the cake and the milk, she spent $18.85. Okay, I know that the total she spent was $32.50, and the only other thing she bought was eggs. So I'm going to subtract to find the difference to see how much money she spent on eggs overall. So I have $32.50, subtract $18.85. Okay, 0 minus 5, I need to borrow or regroup. This becomes a 4, this becomes a 10. 10 minus 5 is 5. 4 minus minus 8, I need to regroup again. This becomes a 1. This becomes 14. 14 minus 8 is 6. I'm going to bring my decimal straight down. Okay? 1 minus 8, need to regroup. This becomes 11 minus 8, which is 3. And then 2 minus 1 is 1. So she spent $13.65 on the eggs. Now, if you look at your answer choices, I don't believe that's an answer choice. Yeah, so what they're asking is how much did each carton of eggs cost? This is how much she spent on all the eggs. She spent $13.65, but it tells us above that she bought 5 cartons of eggs. So we're actually going to split that into 5 equal groups, or we're going to divide by 5. Remember, if I already have a happy whole number divisor, the decimal in my dividend is just going to come straight up. 5 goes into 13 2 times. 5 times 2 is 10. I'm subtracting it 3. I'm going to bring down the 6. 5 goes into 36 7 times. 5 times 7 is 35. I get 1. Bring down my 5. 5 goes into 15 3 times. 5 times 3 is 15 with nothing left over. So she is going to spend $2, or she did spend $2.73 on each carton of eggs, okay? Whew. All right, Tuesday number 1. The cost of renting a bicycle at the beach is an $8 fixed fee. That means you pay $8 when you get there no matter what. No matter how long you rent a bike, it's just, you have to first off pay $8. Plus, it's $2.25 per hour, each hour. How much would it cost to rent the bicycle for 4 hours? So we're definitely going to pay this $8 no matter what. And then we're going to pay $2.25 per hour, and we're renting the bicycle for 4 hours. So you could add that 4 times, or you could just multiply, okay? 4 times 5 is 20. 4 times 2 is 8, 9, 10. 4 times 2 is 8, 9. I have, goodness gracious, we're not going to spend $900, right, on 4 hours, or $90 even, or like 90 cents. The most cents would be $9, and I can see that there's 2 places after the decimal. So I need 2 places after the decimal. So we're going to spend $9 for those 4 hours, and then if we add that together, we would get $17, okay? That's how much you're going to pay to ride the bike for 4 hours. So that was the number 1 Tuesday, is C, $17. Number 2, John has 1 gallon of gas in a can. Okay, here's my gallon. He uses 1/5 of a gallon to mow his yard and 3/10 of a gallon to mow his grandmother's yard. How much gas is left in the can? So we've got 1/5 and then we've got 3/10. And I know that I can make an equivalent fraction. So instead of saying 1/5, since I have 3/10 over here, and it would be easier to have the same size pieces in my picture, if I multiply the denominator and the numerator by 2, that would be 1 times 2 and 5 times 2. That would be 2/10. So I'm just going to replace that first fraction with an equivalent fraction. Okay, so now I can split my gallon of gas. Okay, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 into 10 pieces. Okay, so he uses 1/5 or 2/10 to mow his yard. We'll put H for his yard. And then he uses 3/10 to mow his grandmother's yard. So 1, 2, 3. And then it says how much gas is left in the can. So I can see there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces left out of 10. And then if you simplify, 5/10 is the same thing as 1/2. So he used 1/2 gallon and he has 1/2 gallon left. Wednesday number 1 says complete the next 3 numbers in the pattern. This one should be pretty straightforward. So we've got 2, 6, 10, 14, and then 3 blanks. The next 3 terms of the pattern, okay? So my numbers are increasing each time. That means I could be multiplying, I could also be adding, and if you just play around with that a little bit, you'll see that you're adding 4 each time. That's our consistent rule, is to add 4. So then 14 plus 4 is 18. 18 plus 4 is 22. And then 22 plus 4 is 26. So your next three numbers in the pattern would be 18, 22, and 26. Okay, there. All right, number 2, Wednesday. Samuel's bed measures 78 inches long. Since he knows his height in feet, we normally don't say like, I'm 61 inches tall. Since he knows his height in feet, Samuel wants to know the length of his bed in feet so that he can see how much room he has left to grow before he fills up the entire length of the bed. What is the length of Samuel's bed in feet? So we know the inches, we want to convert that to feet. Okay, I know that there are 12 inches in every foot. I am converting from a smaller unit to a larger unit. So you can remember that saying, small to big, divide the pig. Okay, I can also think of it as if I had 78 inches, every group of 12 is a foot. So I'm just grouping those by 12s. So I'm going to divide by 12. Okay, so 12 goes into 78 6 times. 12 times 6 is 72. And I subtract and I get 6. Now, in the olden days, when you were in 4th grade or 3rd grade, you probably would just leave this and say 6 remainder 6. There's 6 feet, there's 6 inches left over. But we know how to keep going with this problem. So we could make it a fraction. We could bring this down the stairs and make a mixed number. Or we can add a decimal and then bring that decimal straight up and then add a 0. Remember, that's not changing the amount of the dividend. I still have 78. It's just 0 tenths left over. Okay, so then I can bring down my 0, and 12 goes into 60 5 times, and 12 times 5 is 60 with no remainder left over. So instead of saying his bed is 6 feet with 6 inches left over, 6 out of 12 inches would be half a foot. So there are 6 1/2 or 6 5/10 feet in 78 inches. Thursday number 1, Jaden wants to know how many 1/4 cup scoops of flour can be taken from a bag that contains 10 cups of flour. Which expression can she use to find the answer? Okay, so she's got 10 cups. Okay, all right, she's got 10 cups of flour and she's using like a 1/4 cup scoop. So imagine each of these cups split into fourths. I'm not going to draw it all the way, but you can do that on your own. But she's got all these fourths and she wants to know how many fourths there are. So basically she could count 1, 2, 3, there's 4 fourths, 4 fourths, 4 fourths. She could keep going. But what she's really doing is she's taking 10 cups and she is splitting them into groups the size of 1/4 because she wants to see how many 1/4 cups there are. And then remember, if we were to solve this, when we use the algorithm for dividing fractions, we use keep, change, flip. So we would actually end up changing this to multiplication, and it would be 10 times 4, which is why you can solve the problem this way. You could say 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 4, or 4 times 10. But the original problem really is she wants to see how many 1/4 cups are in 10. So she's splitting it into groups. So your answer for that one is A, 10 divided by 1/4. Last one, make sure my computer doesn't go to sleep. Okay, last one, Jenny is measuring 2 line segments. The first one is 30 centimeters long. And the other one is 500 millimeters long. How many centimeters long are the 2 line segments together? So we just want to know the total. But the problem is we want to know the total centimeters. This measurement is in centimeters, but this one is in millimeters. So first I need to convert 500 millimeters to centimeters to see how many centimeters that line segment is. Okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use King Henry. remember King Henry died by drinking chocolate milk. We had that vocabulary song to go with it too. King Henry died by drinking chocolate milk. So we have 500 millimeters, that would be here. And we want to convert to centimeters. So we're just going one place to the left, which means if I put a decimal here, since this is a whole number, and I put it after the ones place, I'm going to move that decimal one place to the left. Okay, so 500 millimeters is really equal to 50 centimeters. So I'm just going to rewrite this as 50 centimeters, okay? And then that makes the problem so easy because all you're doing is finding the total. How many centimeters long are the two line segments together? So we're just going to add 30 plus 50 to get 80 centimeters, okay? And then that's it. Listen, guys, it's super strange teaching to an empty classroom and teaching to a computer. And I'm just a little nostalgic and sad right now because you're not going to be in here again and because I'm not going to teach in here again since I'll be moving classrooms, you know, with the construction. So I just want to say I miss you and I love you and I've really enjoyed this year together and there'll be more to come on that later, so look for it. But I hope you're doing well and I hope you're safe. Bye.